So, can a single shift in thought change your entire life? It's a massive question, I know. Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to unpack the profound, almost unbelievable impact that our mindset has on our day-to-day reality. We're going to look at how the way we view our own worth literally dictates what we get out of the world around us.
Okay, let's dive into this. Today, we are unpacking a highly effective parable about human potential. It's the story of the beggar and the merchant. Now, it's a super simple story on the surface, but the mechanics hidden inside it, they are absolutely foundational to how value actually works in society.
Section 1. The Rule of Exchange.
All right, let's set the scene for our story. Picture a bustling railway station in a major city. Filled with that constant hum of trains and people rushing everywhere. And right in the middle of all this chaos, we find a beggar. Every single day, his routine was exactly the same. Asking passengers for alms, basically hoping for something for nothing. He survived purely on the pity of strangers passing through. That was his entire worldview. Until, one day, he spots this tall, really sharply dressed man stepping off a train. Thinking this wealthy-looking traveler is going to be an easy target for a generous donation, the beggar walks right up to him, fully expecting the usual pity. But instead of just dropping some coins into his hand, the suited man stops, looks right at him, and delivers a serious reality check. He says, "I am a merchant and only believe in give and take. If you have something to give me, only then can I give you something in return." Wow. It's a stark, almost harsh realization. Value demands value. And with that heavy statement hanging in the air, the merchant just turns and walks away.
And right there, we hit a core concept, the law of exchange. This wasn't just a cold brush-off from the merchant. It's actually a fundamental principle in nature, in business, in everything. It dictates that receiving is inherently tied to giving value first. The tall man didn't just reject him. He essentially handed the beggar a universal law of success that governs how the whole world operates.
Moving into Section 2. Finding value to give.
Those words, they didn't just bounce off. They pierced right through him. For 2 whole days, the beggar just sits at the station, completely paralyzed by this deep internal struggle. He keeps wondering, I'm just a beggar. What could I possibly have to offer? Notice how incredibly deep his identity as a beggar runs. His self-worth is just so low that he genuinely believes he has zero value to offer the world. Breaking out of a mental prison like that, well, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes some serious reflection. But then, on the 3rd day, inspiration finally strikes. He notices these little wildflowers blooming near the train station, and this brilliantly illustrates his massive shift in strategy. Step 1, he physically gets up and gathers those wildflowers. Step 2, when he approaches passengers now, he doesn't just ask for a handout, he actually offers them a beautiful flower in return. And step 3, he receives compensation. To his absolute shock, people love it. The passengers happily take the flowers and gladly hand over their money. So he does this day after day, gathering every wildflower he can get his hands on. But here is a super fascinating data point for you. 0. Whenever he handed out all his inventory and the flowers ran out, his income immediately dropped to 0. Literally nothing. No flowers meant no money, and people stopped giving. This proved to him, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that people were paying for the value he provided. They weren't just tossing him coins out of pity anymore. They were engaging in a real transaction.
Section 3. The Identity Shift.
Okay, we have now reached the absolute turning point of our explainer. The mechanics of his day-to-day life had changed, sure, but an even bigger internal shift was about to happen. One day, while he's busily trading his flowers, he spots the exact same suited merchant sitting on a train. The beggar rushes right up to him, proudly offers some flowers, and asks for money in exchange. The merchant gladly pays him, takes the flowers, and with this huge smile says, "Wow, today you have also become a merchant like me." Think about that. The mentor just validated his new approach, cementing the fact that he is now participating in the market, not just begging from it.
This is the ultimate aha moment. The man steps off the train, and his eyes are just shining with this brand new perspective. Looking up at the sky, he shouts, "I am not a beggar. I am a merchant. I can be rich too." His internal self-image has completely, totally transformed. He no longer sees a helpless beggar in the mirror. He sees a businessman with real, actual potential.
Let's move to the timeline and see how this all builds up. First, we had the initial encounter, that harsh rejection that really planted the seed. Then the second encounter, featuring the flower trade and that massive internal realization of his new identity. Now let's jump forward to point 3, the reunion, which takes place 6 months later.
Section 4. 6 months later. So what actually happens when a person sustains that kind of mindset shift over time? Picture this scene. 2 men in incredibly sharp suits meet on a train journey. They strike up a conversation. One man doesn't recognize the other at first. But then, the twist is revealed. The second man? It's the former beggar. No way, right? He's no longer wearing rags at a station. He's now a massive, highly successful flower merchant traveling to another city just to expand his business. The 2 men finally meet as absolute equals.
So the crucial point is how he actually achieved this practically, because it wasn't just magic. First, he fully realized that people were buying flowers, not giving alms. He understood his value. Once he knew that, he acted like a true entrepreneur. He didn't just spend the flower money right away. He reinvested it to buy actual inventory from wholesale once those wildflowers dried up. And finally, he capitalized on the heavy local demand to fully scale his business. He literally used a merchant's mindset to structurally scale his entire life.
Section 5. The Mindset Formula.
All right, let's distill the core takeaways from this narrative. On one side, we have the beggar mindset, waiting passively to receive, viewing yourself as small or incapable, and relying purely on pity or just dumb luck. On the flip side, the merchant mindset, actively creating value, deeply believing in your own potential, and firmly understanding that universal law of give and take. Listen, as long as the man saw himself as a beggar, he remained one. But the exact moment he viewed himself as a merchant, his entire reality rearranged itself to match that powerful new identity.
To wrap up the actionable lessons from our source here, first, you absolutely must adopt the give and take rule in everything you do: business, relationships, life in general. Second, you have to consciously change your self-image if you ever want to change your external results. Third, awaken your self-respect. Don't ever view yourself as someone who just takes without giving. And finally, think bigger to achieve bigger. Success isn't just about the tactical stuff you do. It is fundamentally hidden right there in your thinking.
Which brings me directly to you. What value are you offering in your daily exchanges? Seriously, think about your work, your relationships, your community. Are you applying the law of exchange to your own life, proactively bringing value to the table? Or are you secretly hoping for something for nothing?
I'll leave you with this one last provocative thought. Are you waiting for success to just be handed to you, or are you truly ready to step up and become the merchant of your own life? Remember, the whole shebang starts with how you see yourself. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this fascinating little story sparks a totally new level of self-worth and a drive for value creation in everything you do. Until next time, keep thinking bigger.